Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March 30th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Monday NHL card. And it is a 5-game slate, but we do have some intrigue on the slate tonight, and looking forward to seeing how the games play out. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll also get to the Sunday recap in just a little bit as well. It was a very entertaining Sunday of NHL action. Some winning bets, some losing bets. It was that kind of day, kind of up and down, win some, lose some Sunday. But before we get into that, we did want to address the current situation and status going on right now with our friend Perlo. As you know, Perlo has been on this show Mondays and Wednesdays for several weeks, and for the last couple of weeks, he has been away from the show. And all we can say right now regarding Perlo is we are aware of the fact that he is dealing with a significant personal matter at the moment. So he will be away from the show, not on the show indefinitely, and this goes for the late show that has been going on as well with involving Dre, and Jonathan has been on that show quite a bit. So he won't be on that show for at least a little bit of time as he deals with this personal matter. And we just hope for the best for him. And at the moment, that's really all we can say at this point in time, that he's just away dealing with a personal matter. And if we have any updates about him in the next few weeks, we will share them with you. But like I said, we just hope for the best for him. We certainly hope he's going to be okay. And like I said, we send him all our best, absolutely. And like I said, Perlo, I know people have been asking questions, wondering where he went, and what's the status with him. Why did he just disappear all of a sudden? Well, that's why. He's dealing with a personal situation. So once again, we wish him all the best. And like I said, that's really the latest update that we have for you right now. Getting into hockey now, because there's a lot. Believe me, as far as getting into hockey at this point in time. Yesterday, well, you know what? Before we even get to the recap, we got to start with the bomb dropped all around the hockey world yesterday, involving the firing of Bruce Cassidy. It was late Sunday afternoon that this news was announced by the Vegas Golden Knights, and so Bruce Cassidy fired as head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, despite winning a Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights, the first Stanley Cup in franchise history in 2023. And good old John Tortorella, Torts, back on the scene yet again. I think this is not the first time either. He hasn't gotten through a full season of being out of being a head coach before getting hired again. I think this happened before. I think this happened the last time he worked on ESPN during an NHL season, that all of a sudden there's Torts before the season even ends. He's back working again. I think that might have been when the Flyers hired him, if I'm not mistaken. So, like I said, it's John Tortorella back in the mix with the Vegas Golden Knights. And there's a lot of people, if you read the reaction regarding Twitter and social media, there's a lot of people that are Vegas Golden Knights fans that maybe not privy to what's been going on behind the scenes with the Golden Knights, that say this is stunning, that Bruce Cassidy doesn't deserve this, that Bruce Cassidy's done a great job with the Vegas, and he has. I mean, they've been winning, and for the most part, it's been a winning, successful run for the Vegas Golden Knights with Bruce Cassidy as head coach. But if you listen to Jonathan Davis and people that are, have connections, contacts within the league, they'll know that there's been some serious issues and some serious fragmentation behind the scenes in the dressing room of the relationship between Bruce Cassidy and the players. That the work relationship, coach of Bruce Cassidy to the players, and even Bruce Cassidy to his own assistant coaches, became untenable. You know, it just got to the point where it was like a workplace from hell type of environment that was going on with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think that's what maybe shocks people about Bruce, that he had this in him, where he was almost impossible at times to get along with for players, and even for his own assistant coaches, who had issues maintaining a positive, strong working relationship with Bruce, that he kind of ruled with this iron fist, if you will. Eventually, when you're winning and Bruce Cassidy's acting like this constantly, you can live with it because you're winning. You're having success on the ice. You're winning games. You're getting to the playoffs every year. In the case of 2023, you're winning a Stanley Cup. But when the wins stop happening and the wins stop occurring, all of a sudden, you can't keep going on with a bad, almost a suffocating relationship internally. And that, from everything I've heard, is a lot of the dynamic that's been going on here, that it's become really bad between Bruce Cassidy and the players, and even Bruce with his own assistants. And these are assistants that are qualified hockey people that have been around the game a long time. Dominic Ducharme's been around a long. John Stevens was a freaking head coach before.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Bruce Cassidy almost wouldn't listen to their opinions and just say, hey, I make the rules around here. I do things my way. It's just shocking to hear some of the things we've heard about what's been going on here behind the scenes. But look, that's the thing. They dealt with it. They put up with the shit because of the winning and getting to the playoffs and winning the Stanley Cup. But now that this team has completely spit the bit, free-falled and declined big time here the last few weeks, now you're not winning anymore. So the relationship still stinks. There's still issues, relationship fractures all over the place. Bruce with his players, Bruce with his assistants. And all of a sudden now, with the losing is happening, you can't deal with it anymore, and it's time to say goodbye. And apparently that is why this has been made, this decision right now, even with just 8 games left in the regular season, by Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, obviously the owner, has to sign off on that too, and Bill Foley. And like I said, they've just decided this is the change that had to be made. And if these issues that the players had with Bruce are as really rough and bad as I'm hearing, this truly could be a breath of fresh air. Because say what you will about John Tortorella. Okay, Bruce maybe had communication issues, but John Tortorella, yeah, he'll be gruff. He'll push you. He'll coach you hard, but you'll know where you stand. He'll communicate. Right. He'll let you know what's real and what's not. And that's going to be something that obviously the Vegas Golden Knights players will get used to in a hurry. Now, there's some interesting data out there that's been floating around that we automatically think coach bump, right? New coach, they're going to take off. They're going to win a bunch of games in a row. If you actually look at John Tortorella's history of taking over teams, he's actually a guy that the wins haven't exactly happened right away. There's been a lot of situations he's taken over teams. I'm seeing a below 500 record, 500 record. I'm not seeing that 7-1, 6-0, 5-0, 8-1 stretch quite often when John Tortorella's taken over as head coach. Yet, I mean, if the work environment and relationship was as bad as it seems like it was, Bruce with the players, this could be one of those times where, you take that John Tortorella track record, taking over teams with a grain of salt. This could still be addition by subtraction, and the players are just going to look at this as playing freely, breath of fresh air, new lease on life here with John Tortorella taking over as head coach. And one thing is for sure, I expect Vegas to be playing with that kind of hair on fire effort tonight, breath of fresh air, new lease on life, playing free. If it, with considering it sounded pretty bad, the way things were just completely disintegrated between the players and Cassidy. And I feel bad for the poor Vancouver Canucks, who just happened to be the Vegas Golden Knights opponent tonight in this first game following the coaching change. As if the Vancouver Canucks season hasn't been bad enough already. And now they might have to deal with the Vegas Golden Knights here with their first game following the dismissal of Bruce Cassidy. But one last thing I'll say before getting Alex's thoughts on this is this did happen once with success before. You have to go back to the 2000 New Jersey Devils. Robbie Ftorek was fired with exactly 8 games left in the regular season that year for the New Jersey Devils. And just like this Vegas team, New Jersey was a good team that year, really good team. And they had Stanley Cup expectations that year. Larry Robinson took over as head coach that season from Robbie Ftorek, and the rest is history for the New Jersey Devils. They won the Stanley Cup that year. I think they beat Dallas in the Stanley Cup final that year. Now, I'm not saying that's obviously going to happen with Vegas and John Tortorella. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm saying that Kelly McCrimmon might be thinking that, hey, I remember 26 years ago something like this happened, and the team flourished because of it. I'm saying he thinks that. I'm not saying I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup now, Vegas and John Tortorella, but Kelly McCrimmon might think that himself, that a late season change like this could be the springboard that his team desperately needs. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I have to see more. I like my thought though is initially there's going to be a huge bump if it's as bad as it seems like it was with Bruce and the players. I mean, how could it not be? If it was that bad, the relationship, how can it not be? But Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, unless Marty Brodeur and Scott Stevens and all those guys are walking through that door, which I know they aren't, then no, Vegas is not winning the Stanley Cup because of John Tortorella appearing with 8 games left. However, it we talked about this the same thing at the beginning of or the end of last year when we found out DeWard's getting fired. When you lose the room, you can't stick around anymore. I don't care if that happens in training camp, if it's game 1, if it's game 82. If you lost the room, you're out. And especially when you start talking about now that even you're throwing your assistant coaches under the bus, which that's one thing with Tortorella. Tortorella might throw his players under the bus. He might do some things that are a bit unsavory and rub players and even fans the wrong way. But he's never going to really
give his assistants the time of day. He'll intake opinions from them. Not
his staff, he respects his staff enough to not shut them out. So that in itself would be the biggest bump of all. Just the fact that if you're not standing well amongst the room with your coaches, then that's a significant problem. And I texted Vegas people. I know I texted Ken Thompson yesterday. He was stunned. He didn't see this coming in. We got to remember who we're talking about. Bill Foley is a guy. I don't know if he's a Janet Jackson fan, but it seemed like he might like that song. What have you done for me lately? Because he's not afraid to make a change. He will get rid of a coach. He will, move a player. He will make a big trade, and he's done that. And his onus is about winning and consistently winning as a franchise. And I don't mind it. You actually, it's a breath of fresh air to see owners and GMs say, hey, listen, we're not going to deal with this shit. We're going to deal with it right now. We're not going to prolong it. We're not going to wait and mess up a playoff run and then address this after the season. We're going to address it right fucking now, with 8 games left, and clean this up as much as we can before game 1, round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you can't help but respect a GM and an owner that's willing to make that move at that time.
Yeah, I've always wondered that too with these quick decisions, these quick trigger pull decisions to fire some of these coaches with Vegas. Is this Kelly McCrimmon spearheading it? Saying, is this his operating procedure primarily? Is this George McPhee's operating procedure primarily? Or is this Bill Foley?
I think it's the Trinity. They're in lockstep with one another.
You know how many times we've seen Foley, McPhee, and McCrimmon all shown together in the press box watching a game? Yeah. I think they are. I think they're a very, very tight collective. I agree with that.
They remind me of they do a much better job, but it reminds me of back in the days as a kid seeing, Dollar Bill Wirtz and Bob Pulford together. They were inseparable. And if Wirtz needed to make a move, we got to fire our GM, Pulford's in there. We got to fire our head coach, Pulford was in there. And that's kind of the same, that cohesiveness, which that can be a good thing while you're winning. But if we are talking about this 6 years later, and here they are flipping through coaches and flipping through players, and now they're starting to lose, and they still have this same kind of thought process. They haven't made any changes or progress. Then that could be problematic. But for right now, we're still talking about one of the more successful franchises over the last 7 years, and when they've made moves, it's usually turned out for the better.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right about. Yeah, Milwaukee Bucks fired a coach with a 31-13 record. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Different sport, NBA, but still,
and that happens a lot more in the NBA. We've seen over the years, NBA. We've seen guys win Coach of the Year and then get fired in the NBA. So this it's the different parameters and circumstances, but at the same time, there is, I guess you could say, an onus to where, like I said, you make changes and things are going wrong. You got to, you have to move forward, and you can't move forward if you know that you have a head coach.
Yeah, that was Adrian Griffin. I was trying to remember the name. Yeah, Adrian Griffin. Yeah, 31-13. He got canned. It was a few years ago. Yeah.
But but if you lost the players, you lost the room, and in every case you think about that, they lost the players, and you have to make that change.
From what I've heard, and this is just all what I've heard, Bruce Cassidy lost the players a long fucking time ago, but they put up with this nonsense and bullshit because of the winning. They kept winning. They kept winning games. They kept getting to the playoffs. They had the cup a few years ago. I heard it right after the cup season. It was starting to really fall apart with the relationship and the fragmentation, players with coach. And now all of a sudden, like I said, now the losing is happening, and it's been weeks of losing now. This isn't just a couple games. This is weeks of losing. You can't deal with it anymore. we put up with this stuff because we were winning. The players were still finding ways to get the job done. Well, now they're not getting the job done, and they still hate your guts. So see you later. And that's apparently what we're seeing right now. And that's why the change has been made. So here we are, John Tortorella back in action. Once again, poor ESPN. I mean, ESPN's been jilted twice by John Tortorella to take another coaching job, but I think they'll survive. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think they'll be just fine. It wasn't like he was, John Madden on fucking television. So
he wasn't even their lead crew. I mean, they always put PK and TJ Oshie and PK and Mark Messier as the lead studio guys. The John Tortorella was like the B crew. They'd bury him on ESPN Plus for Sharks in Utah or something. Yeah. That's the only time you'd see him on ESPN. Really, honestly, I'm not kidding either. It's not like they spotlighted and they featured John Tortorella in the studio. Did they ever give him a prime plum spot with Steve Levy for an ABC Saturday game? Did we ever see Torts doing a Saturday studio assignment? No,
maybe once.
PK and Messier and TJ Oshie all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was getting like main event attraction with ESPN. So trust me, it's no big deal for ESPN that Tortorella's not there. Like I said, there was plenty other people they featured more in the studio ahead of him. But should be fascinating to see how it goes. Like I said, most of these coaching bumps work in the short term. We'll see if it does for the Vegas Golden Knights. Although, again, I will preface this by saying that Tortorella's own track record taking over teams, it hasn't exactly been hitting the ground running when he's taken over some of these teams. There's one team he took over. They were 2-8 in the first 10 games when he took over.
Bay.
Yeah, it was one of those that he had in the past. So like I said, but if the relationship was as hideous as it seemed like it was between Cassidy and the players, then it does feel like the weight's going to be off and they're going to be flying tonight here with this new voice behind the bench for the Golden Knights. But again, that's why, don't rush to bed at pregame if you're a little unsure. You can see what the start looks like tonight when they play Vancouver.
And we can forgive him for having a rough start with that Tampa Bay team when he first took over. That was literally one of the worst teams in France, like in NHL history, that he was taking over from. So,
yeah, no doubt. So, like I said, it's still, I mean, just the timing of it, the fact that this is a guy that had won a cup just a couple. It was still surprising. When you think about the issues internally, not so, but just the timing of it, and that it actually still did happen. That Bruce Cassidy was fired. Still pretty surprising. All right, let's get to Sunday's recap. It was a very entertaining slate overall, except for Florida, the Rangers. That was a bit of a snore fest there to start the day, but the Rangers get the job done there in that one over the Florida Panthers. And Adam Sikora scores again. So we did mention that keep an eye on this guy. He's certainly been, that's the back-to-back games with a goal now for him, for the New York Rangers in that victory over Florida yesterday. And then the games got the 5 p.m. Eastern window was terrific. I mean, meaningful hockey across the board. We had Nashville, Tampa Bay. This is the game. I had a losing day because of this one fucking game, and I went bigger on it. I don't normally do that. I like keeping things around the same unit amounts. And if I had done that with this game and kept everything equal with the other games, I would have had a profitable day. But no, I really went bigger on fading Tampa with Johansson. And Johansson got the better of me. He was really good. It was the first time that he's played really, really well in quite some time because Nashville was all over them. 10-1 were the shots on goal for Nashville in the first period. They just couldn't put the puck in the net. But Johansson was good. They actually played pretty well defensively as well. But he was there to make the saves when he had to. He made the 3-2 lead stand up. So that game really hurt. We had Nashville money line, team total over, the full game over. It all fell short. So that was frustrating. That hurt for me a little bit. But the rest of the games were pretty good. At the 5 o'clock hour, we had Montreal. We said they were a live dog against Carolina. What a job by them to go into Carolina, win on a back-to-back. This Montreal team, man, I mean, I don't want to say I'm ready to bet them to win the Stanley Cup, but, man, they're playing the way they need to win games in the playoffs. A 3-1 win over Carolina. More great goaltending from Jakub Dobeš, who was tremendous again. 1 goal against on 35 shots in the victory over Carolina. They were opportunistic, Montreal. Cole Caulfield scores once again. He doesn't need to be a Saturday game for him to make an impact. And Nick Suzuki gets a pair for the Montreal Canadiens. So we had Montreal. We had the team total as well. So that was great to see and the Habs get the 3-1. The only thing we didn't hit was the over in that, but it was a smaller bet. I had Montreal more so in that with the money line and the team total over, so that was good. We had the draw with Boston and Columbus, and my goodness, what a hockey game this was. Unbelievably great game. And what a show of guts from Boston. It's a hideous loss for Columbus, considering they're up 3-0. And this is about as stinging as it gets, as hurtful, as depressed as you can be to miss out on the second point for Columbus. Because you're up 3-0 in your building. You couldn't have played any better in the first period. And then you sit back again a bit. And you kind of let Boston dictate the play a little bit when you have that lead. And that's exactly what we ended up seeing. And Boston, with 3 goals in the third to wipe out that 3-0 deficit, including the late marker by Pavel Zacha, which was his second of the game. 2 goals for him. He got the 3-2 and the 3-3 goal to force overtime, and we cashed one of the bargain bin specials yesterday. Pavel Zacha plus 330 for the Boston Bruins. That was great to see. And then the Boston Bruins got it done in the shootout, winning 4-3 over the Jackets. Tremendous comeback win for Boston, and a very costly failure to secure the second point. And now they do get 1 point, but again, like I said, they should have had 2 points in that game. Columbus has to find a way to nail that one down. They didn't, and they end up losing 4-3. And what a couple of fights in the first period. These were not good. These were great fights in the first period. The first one was Tanner Jeannot and Eric Goodbranson. They went for about a minute, swinging back and forth, 2 big guys going at it. That was absolutely spectacular. And then right after that, if you thought, and that was a great fight, Jeannot and Goodbranson. And then you could probably say that Mark Kastelik and Matthew Olivier right after that topped it. What a scrap they had. And Olivier, man, is that Olivier? Don't mess with him. Holy shit. When he gets throwing them, they become hammer fists. And they can create some serious pain and serious damage, and Kastelik found that out. So that game that's playoff hockey. Start to finish, that Bruins Blue Jackets game. I was fixated on that game. It was so good. Yesterday had everything: physicality, nastiness, couple of great fights, tremendous comeback by Boston. That was a great game, and it lived up because we knew it was an important game for both teams, and it lived up. New Jersey, they beat Chicago 5-3. I don't know what happened to Chicago, just a meltdown there in the last 5-6 minutes of the third. Jack Hughes decided, I'm winning this game. He was absolutely phenomenal. And to be honest with you, he could have scored like a hat trick last night. That's how good he was. He had actually been robbed a time or two by Spencer earlier in the game last night. But he certainly eventually got through and got what turned out to be the game-winning goal, the 4-3 goal for the New Jersey Devils. And Jack Hughes puts it away with the empty netter as well. This ended up being a profitable game, though, for me. We had the over. We had the first period over. We both had Chicago first goal, first period. That was a good look. The only thing we missed on was Chicago money line. And I did have Chicago team total over 2.5. And we did hit that as well. So the only thing
Frank Nazar.
There you go. Yep.
Frank
Nazar. Yep. Frank Nazar goal prop. The only thing that didn't hit for me was the money line shot on Chicago, which was probably the smallest bet of them all. So we'll take it. It was still a pretty good game. Overall, good call with that Blackhawks Devils game. But New Jersey, even on the back-to-back, they come back and they get the 5-3 win there. And then Dallas-Philadelphia was a very good hockey game, too. You could tell there was some intensity here. The goaltending was great. Sam Ersson, man, he might be back. He was very good again last night for the Philadelphia Flyers in that victory. I think that's now his 5th straight start that he's won. So he has definitely improved after a rough start to the season. For him, it was a really back-and-forth game. Konechny got the first goal on the power play, and then it was Arttu Haru, shorthanded for the Dallas Stars to tie the game at 1. And then I think as good as the goaltending was both ways last night in this Stars-Flyers game, the Trevor Zegras goal, got to have that. You got to have that one if you're Casey DeSmith. I know it was a good shot. I think it took him by surprise. He shot it when he did. But still, right through the wickets, you'd like to see Casey DeSmith stop that one. But credit to Trevor Zegras getting the game winner. And here's the Philadelphia Flyers. Are you shitting me? Philadelphia 2 points out of a playoff spot. Just when you think Rick Tocchet and the Flyers are out, they pull you back in, the old saying. And here they are. They still very much have a shot to make the playoffs with that big overtime win. And we cashed the draw there, Stars and Flyers. So draw season did us poorly on Saturday. We went dry with the draws, but at least we had 2 yesterday with Boston, Columbus, and with Dallas, Philadelphia. But Alex, your thoughts on a very, very entertaining Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, those draw season spots, and those are those specific draw season spots. When we talk about not just games that, we like, there's trends and they go to overtime, but no, when you have Boston, Columbus fighting each other for those playoff spots, getting those important points, like I said, you see the intensity change in that game. Like I said, you saw those 2 great fights and just a good physical battle back and forth, all 60 plus minutes long in that contest. And even a Dallas Philly game where if that game takes place in a Wednesday night in January, it's dog shit. Okay, it's a game we're not even watching. We're just maybe checking in and seeing if we've hit our bets. But that was a much more entertaining battle when you said not a Philly team that's not 2 points out of a playoff spot, a Dallas team where their position's pretty much locked in, but they still know they have to play meaningful hockey and keep their motivation and their intensity up as they head into what's going to be hopefully for them a long postseason run. So we're seeing those cashing in, but also seeing some good hockey as a result of draw season. That's always what we appreciate. And like I said, New Jersey overrun still continues. The Hawks, the kids are playing, and Blashill's letting them, turning them loose. We saw Nazar, his first multi-goal game of his career. 2 more points for Anton Frondell, so that's now 4 points in 3 games for him to start his NHL career. There's still some value now with grabbing these guys individually from a goal perspective, a point perspective with the Hawks. They may not win another game the rest of the year, although to be fair, they have a interesting 4-game homestand against teams that are pretty much solidified in their playoff space down the line, which could make for some tricky spots with those big favorites. We may see some minus 300 prices and things of that nature with them, but to see their growth and development has certainly been interesting, even if they aren't getting victories. But like I said, we can still continue to ride that overrun with a team like New Jersey, even though their playoff hopes are pretty much all but over. They still have been chipping in and scoring goals.
Yes, they have, and that's why it's been fun to cash some overs with them, because they've been scoring and they've been giving up goals, and we hit another with New Jersey. And it's a great segue. It's a phenomenal segue because we're going to begin the Monday card. You talk about the king of overs. Holy mackerel, the Pittsburgh Penguins as they take on the New York Islanders. Islanders minus 130, home favorites, 6 the total. Let's hope this is even in the same stratosphere, at least somewhat, of Boston Columbus. If so, we're going to have a great hockey game. It's a huge game. Teams are neck and neck in the Metro. Teams are still trying to solidify their playoff spot. Nobody's clinched anything yet. Of course, the Islanders still have work to do. They're on the outside looking in. So this is a massive, massive 2 points on the table tonight between the Penguins and the Islanders. 11-1 is the run now for the Pittsburgh Penguins to the over in their last 12 games. And not only that, but look at the series history between the Penguins and the Islanders. 8-2 to the over in the last 10 meetings between these 2 teams. And I went back and looked. The last 7 meetings as well between the Penguins and the Islanders, 5 of the last 7 have cashed the first period over. 5 of the last 7, both teams have scored in the first period as well. Give me this over trifecta here tonight with Penguins and Islanders. First period over, both teams to score first period, and over 6 between them. Pittsburgh's just one of these teams. They are not at all any good defensively right now. They continue to give up goals. They continue to give up the breakdowns in their own zone. The goaltending is just not good enough to deal with these defensive issues with Shelovs and Skinner. Neither one's been shutting the door for the Pittsburgh Penguins of late. And it is Shelovs tonight. It's Ilya Sorokin for the New York Islanders. And Sorokin has had his issues with Pittsburgh in the past. He hasn't always played great hockey against them. So this is kind of a team that's at his number. But yeah, 8-2 to the over last 10 meetings. 5 of the last 7, the first period over, and both teams have scored in the first period. And of course, this 11-1 run for the over for Pittsburgh. So I'm on the over trifecta. Give me the draw here as well. I think we have a chance for overtime. Malkin is probably still out, it looks like, but could be some good news for Pittsburgh as the captain, Sidney Crosby, is a game-time decision here for this game tonight and might make his return, and certainly would help the cause if you're a Penguin fan. Alex, what do you think here, Penguins-Islanders?
Yeah, I'd already bet over and draw this morning, but like I said, with that track record, I have to go right there with you and go the over trifecta route as well. I may wait for that first period over to drop a little bit. Minus 130, 135 is a little high, but certainly can go both teams to score first period pregame along with that full game over and the draw. Draw, I got around 315. You're not going to get the best prices with that draw because of the history and certainly with the Islanders being involved, but definitely can make a case for this game to go past regulation.
Prop wise here for me, because I do think we're going to see some goals. Give me Anthony Mantha. Simon Holmstrom, you've used him as a bargain bin. Simon Holmstrom's like plus 400. 3 of the last 5 games he scored. He has some history against the Penguins of finding the back of the net. So Simon Holmstrom's worth a look. I'm going to go back to Emil Heineman for the New York Islanders as well. And probably my favorite goal prop in this game, it's got to be Erik Karlsson. Now scored in back-to-back games for the Penguins. 3 of the last 5, 5 of the last 10. Erik Karlsson has found the back of the net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I could see him finding the back of the net too. Matthew Schaefer, the outstanding, of course, rookie defenseman here, surefire Calder Trophy winner this year. I'm sure of it for the New York Islanders as well. He scored against Pittsburgh before. That is something, 50% of games against the Penguins. Matthew Schaefer this year has found the back of the net. So that tells you he might be worth a shot here as far as a goal prop as well. So definitely some good goal. Shinikov, I wouldn't argue with that. There's others I like a little bit more than Shinikov there, Scott, but no argument. I mean, he's obviously played very well here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right, next up, Calgary, Colorado. We've got Colorado minus 380 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. So I called my shot on Saturday and said, beware betting Colorado. In fact, I think Winnipeg's got a chance to win this game. And sure enough, the Winnipeg Jets did 4-2 over the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday night. But now you have Colorado off a loss. So I don't think I'm going to call my shot here with the Calgary Flames. Although they did have a very, very good homestand. Give the Flames credit for that. Played very well at home. Now the question is going to be, can they take it on the road with them? Because let's not forget that while Calgary went 5-1 on their 6-game homestand that just completed, on the road before that, their only win was 5-4 against New Jersey, and it was a pretty rough road trip outside of that. And New Jersey is obviously a non-playoff team. Here you're playing a Colorado team that's one of the best teams in the NHL and coming off a home loss. So much different kettle of fish here for the Calgary Flames to deal with in this one. Kadri, Jonathan's onto that. Nazem Kadri will be playing against Calgary for the first time since they dealt him back to the Colorado Avalanche at the trade deadline. So that's something to note. Colorado's won 7 of the last 8 meetings versus Calgary, though Calgary did beat them in the last meeting of the season last year between them. March 31st last year. Can you believe it? This is the first time they're actually playing each other this season. Calgary and Colorado. March 31st last year here at Ball Arena. It was a 3-2 shootout win for the Calgary Flames. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know if I've got the guts to take Calgary, but I did sprinkle on the draw just a little bit here, just a little tiny bit, because the draw price is just crazy good. I mean, obviously, as you would expect it to be. Look, they did go to a shootout against Colorado in this building last year, the Calgary Flames, right around this time of year. Last year it was March 31st. What's today? March 30th. Basically right around the same time. I'm telling you, Colorado's just looking to win. They don't care about 5-1, 6-1 hockey right now. They're just trying to win. They have lapses in games, kind of lollygag around, screw around and keep teams in it. And Calgary, I actually do like the way they played. So I'm going to take just a small dabble here at the great price you're seeing, that maybe, just maybe, we can get Calgary to push this to overtime. Plus 370 at FanDuel with the, like I said, with the draw price here. So just a small sprinkle on that. I'm going to dabble too in Calgary to get a goal in the first period, just because it's the system. And we do have the system in play here, the minus 300 or greater favorite, allowing a goal in the first period. Now, one thing to note, Colorado has been one of the teams that's been gumming up this system, where they've been a team that hasn't exactly always given up that first period goal. They've been the team that's kind of been most of the losses with the system have been games involving Colorado. So that is something to keep in mind, but I am going to still look at that Calgary goal in the first period as well as the draw. That's it. That's all I got pregame. I think the rest of the game's pretty tricky. Alex, what do you think here, Calgary, Colorado?
I wouldn't talk anyone out of grabbing the draw, especially when you're seeing prices like plus 420. Calgary, puck line, you can get plus 120 on a plus 1.5. But I just worry about, like I said, this is a Colorado team that we know when they turn it on and decide that they want to play some big time hockey, they could easily pour 6 or 7 goals on this Calgary team. So this is one that's going to be a pass for me because I don't know what I'm going to see.
Volatility, right?
Yeah. This could easily be, like you said, a 2-1 Calgary game that goes in the shootout, and Colorado just doesn't give a shit, or Colorado says, "Hey, let's make this interesting," and all of a sudden it's 3-0 5 minutes into the contest. So.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I get it. There could be some volatility here for the result could be anything here, quite honestly. But I think Colorado win is most likely. But like I said, it could be 6-1. It could be 3-2 in overtime.
I feel like you'll know. I don't see it being a blowout late though. I think you'll know if Colorado's coming ready to play, and then it'll be 5-1 into the first, and all right, you're done, move on, and you've lost your money. I don't think it's going to necessarily be like a game like we saw with like Florida Rangers yesterday, where it was nothing for 40 minutes, and all of a sudden, a team takes off. So,
yeah, and Colorado's tinkering with playoff, lineup combinations, deep pairs, that kind of thing. That's where they're at. That's the stage of the season they're at right now. The Colorado, Dustin Wolf and Scott Wedgwood, by the way, are confirmed in net here for this game. As far as props, what I will say is. Right now, I'm looking at the recent Brock Nelson. Morgan Frost has stepped up for Calgary of late. But yeah, Nazem Kadri, obviously, playing against Calgary. If anyone wants to go the revenge angle or the former player angle with Naz Kadri here for Colorado tonight, I wouldn't talk anyone out of that. Right now, they've got him centering Ross Colton and Logan O'Connor, who just recently returned for the Avalanche. So, yeah, it is the Flames team total is +1. If you like that, I mean, that's a good price, good number, good price. If you think they can get 3 here against this Colorado Avalanche team. And the one thing about Calgary is on the homestand, they did score at least 3 and 4 of the last 5 games. The question is, do you trust them to do it on the road? Because other than 5 at New Jersey, this is also a Calgary team that on the road on their last trip, they only scored 2 against Detroit, only scored 2 against the Islanders, and they got shut out by the Rangers. That's pretty hard to do, to get shut out by the New York Rangers. That happened to Calgary on their most recent road trip. So we'll see how that plays out there. Victor Olofsson, Jonathan saying he likes him for a goal prop as well. And now all of a sudden, here we are, a game that I think none of us would have been that excited about over 24 hours ago. And now here we are because John Tortorella takes over as the new head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. All of a sudden, it's, I don't know about must-see TV at T-Mobile, the Fortress tonight, but certainly more interest, more intrigue for the Vancouver Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights, at least for some people. Maybe not for Alex, based on the facial expressions I'm seeing right
now. There's a storyline now. Otherwise, this game was just a complete throwaway, but there's a storyline.
Yes, no doubt. Vegas -350, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I am buying into the coach bump because of this, the complete and utter disintegration of the relationship with Bruce and the players. I think it is going to be kind of a freedom for them tonight, and they get that bump, even though Tortorella hasn't always given new teams that he's taken over that coaching bump. I'm going to trust that it's going to happen here. But the problem is it's a -350 favorite. I mean, if you're going to take Vegas on the puck line, you've still got to lay -140. I mean, it's the value. It's hard to find it. Very, very difficult to just excavate any kind of value that you can here from the Vegas Golden Knights, given that they're a -350 favorite. Like I said, the cheapest price I see right now on the puck line, -1.5, is -140. So like I said, it's difficult to find that value right now. So you got to get creative here in this game. And I'm going to go to a bet that I've mentioned on the show before. Now, the last time I mentioned it, I don't think it won. In fact, I know it didn't win because it was recent. I think it might have been Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, that I mentioned it. But I'm going to go to I like it a lot here tonight, though. And we know Vancouver hasn't just been bad. They've been horrendous defensively. I mean, when Calgary is putting a fucking touchdown on the board, that wasn't the Stampeders on Saturday night. That was the Calgary Flames. It's not CFL football. That's NHL hockey. And 7 on the board from the Calgary Flames on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks. I think Vancouver can get on the board, and I think Vegas can get on the board, and I think they can get on the board quickly. So at Bet365, I'm going with Vegas to score in the first 10 minutes, +115. That's a good price there. Goal in the first 10 minutes. Vegas Golden Knights, +115. Vegas to score in the first 10 minutes. That I like. I'm going to go with the alt team total in the first period. There I see Jonathan's on it as well. Yeah, over 1.5. I'm going to do the 1 and the 1.5 sprinkle at BetMGM. BetMGM, as I've talked about many times in the past, BetMGM gives you the half goal increments with betting NHL team totals, and that I like. That you can bet over 0.5 first period team total, over 1. So if it lands on 1, you get a push. And then you could go for the extra value and take an over 1.5 on a team total in the first period and get a better plus price on that. So, like I said, that definitely is something I'm interested in as well. Come out flying in the first 20 minutes of this game. So let me just check on this one more time here as far as the there we go. BetMGM will log in. Here we go. Yeah, Vegas first period goals. That's the category you'll find it in. You click periods, and then you'll see Vegas Golden Knights first period goals if you're using BetMGM. Over 1 minus 140, over 1.5 plus 155. Half and half on both is what I'm going to do with that Vegas first period team total here in this one. Now, this is the system, right? It's a minus 300 or greater. I can't do it, though. I just can't. Not in this spot with Vancouver to score in the first period. Could they? I mean, it is still the Tortorella is not going to fix the goaltending necessarily overnight. And we've seen either Aiden Hill, it doesn't matter who it's been for Vegas, Aiden Hill or Akira Schmid. They've been giving up these early goals in a lot of these games. So maybe you got to bite the bullet here begrudgingly and take Vancouver to score in the first period. I might. It is the system, and the system's the system. How many times do we say that? If you believe in it and it's successful and it works, sometimes you got to roll with it. So maybe I do get on. That'll be a smaller bet, though, compared to the Vegas bets that I'm making here in this first period. First period over 17-9 with the minus 300 or greater favorites this season. Okay. First period. So I will take first period over as well for sure.
Good live look then.
Yeah. I actually am going to dabble in the 6.5 too, just because Vancouver games are flying over and they're giving up almost 6 or 7 by themselves, in most of these games. So I'm going to go on the full game over too. But like I said, more of my action is the first period here. First period over, the first period Vegas team total over split between the 1 and the 1.5 on that. And then I like that first 10 minutes Vegas to score plus 115. I think I like that one most of all, quite honestly. But that's my approach. Hey, we got to be creative, guys.
Yeah.
It's a minus 350 favorite. You want to lay that? Yeah. Not a chance. Do you want to lay minus 140 on a fucking full game puck line? No shot. None. Zero that I'm doing that. So you've got to get creative in a game like this. And so hopefully we've given you some creative approaches here, how to attack this damn thing. Alex, what do you think here? Vancouver, Vegas.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I said, I looked at that team total over 1.5 plus 184, which is not really the best price you get in the world with that first period team total in Vegas. But once again, like you said, when you're laying 350, all your prices are going to be kind of jacked around. But when you talk about the system with the minus 300 favorite, the way I'm attacking it and getting creative with it is first period correct score, Vegas leads 2-1 plus 1,100 at FanDuel. I think that's the way to go about that. Vegas could easily get 2 goals early and then maybe sit on it, and Vancouver finds a way, like I said, it's still shaky defense, shaky goaltending. Who's to say they can't get a goal after being down 2 to wrap up that period? So at plus 1,100, I'll take a little bite with the first period correct score, Vegas leading 2-1.
There you go. Correct score first period for Alex there. Vegas 2-1 here against Vancouver. You could do we talked about how we definitely like Vegas to score possibly early and possibly often in the first period. We think perhaps because of the system and Vegas's propensity to give up an early goal that Vancouver could find the back of the net. So your substitute, if you believe that, could also be first period both teams to score. You could do that at plus 150. Here's one that I might dabble in. I'm going to bypass first period both teams to score because it's like plus 150, plus 160. I believe that price. Bet 365. You talk about how I like Vegas to score in the first 10 minutes. There's a both teams to score in the first 10 minutes, plus 550 at Bet 365. That I might put a couple bucks on. That one.
That's interesting.
Skip the first period. I don't like the price enough, and I don't trust Vancouver fully. I'd rather not trust Vancouver fully, bypass betting first period both teams to score, and go for the jugular and that big-time plus price I see out there with first period, first 10 minutes, both teams to sore, plus 550. That's pretty attractive. I'm getting in on that for something.
That's something. I don't have Bet365 right now. I need to get that when I get back to Illinois, but that's something I would recommend. Those of you who have access to that book, circle that for the playoffs. Yeah. Because that could really be first round. We see a lot of, not only do we see first period overs, but we see back and forth action early in games. And that's a market that you may be able to take some serious advantage of once the playoffs roll around. So make a note of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. By the way, I see some questions in the chat asking about Perlo. Just rewatch the beginning of the show. That's all I'll say about it. We addressed it. We gave you an update on where things stand. So just check that out. We talked about it right at the start of the show. As far as props here for this Vancouver and Vegas game, like I said, it's going to be interesting. I want to wait to see what the line combination. Remember, this is a new head coach, right? So John Tortorella is not coming in here with any preconceived notions about this hockey team. So he might be looking to, tweak the lineup a little bit. So I want to see what the Vegas lineup looks like, because I don't trust what I'm seeing right now, whether it's RotoWire, Daily Faceoff, you name it. John Tortorella might want to put his fingerprints on this thing right away. So from that standpoint, I'm going to hold off on betting Vegas goal props, any Vegas player props, really, until I see what this lineup looks like. If I'm going to look at anyone, I probably on the Vancouver side of the equation, I'd say maybe Liam Ogren and Linus Karlsson and Drew O'Connor, because those three are all on the top six, and they've all been a little bit more noticeable lately. I think Ogren scored last game, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did. He got a goal against the Calgary Flames on Saturday, and he scored in 40% of the last 10 games as well. So maybe Ogren would be the one that would be intriguing here for me on the Vancouver side. All right, now there is one thing that makes this game intriguing. Obviously, Toronto is out of it. That's not the intriguing part of this game, but there's a certain pound of flesh angle coming into this game tonight. We've got Anaheim minus 190, home favorites, 6.5 the total. And of course, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs that are going to be looking for a pound of flesh from one Radko Gudas, who, by the way, and I have a lot more respect for Radko Gudas if everything I'm hearing and reading is true, that he's got this significant injury. He probably shouldn't be playing tonight, but he is apparently saying he wants to play and insists on playing because he wants to the code and answer the bell. And because someone on the Leafs will challenge him to a scrap tonight because of what he did to Austin Matthews just recently. If that is all true, I've got a newfound respect for Gudas, and I'm not a Gudas fan. You know that. He's had so many incidents. He's crossed the line, on a handful of occasions. But if he is saying and doing what he said, that he wants to play, he probably shouldn't play because he's been battling injury, because he wants to let the Leafs, handle things and get their pound of flesh, so to speak, for him putting out Austin Matthews for the rest of the year, then I respect that. I do. You can't help but respect that, if that is indeed the case. So, Mike, the question is, who's going to fight him? It's Jake McCabe's got to be that. Dakota Joshua. Those are two of the obvious, candidates. McCabe could. Gudas, Dakota Joshua could. I don't know who it would be other than that, quite honestly, but those are the ones that definitely stand out as to who might. Benoit, maybe Simone Benoit. He's got a little bit of a sandpaper to his game, physical. He can drop the gloves too. Someone will.
It doesn't matter for the Leafs. Yeah. Someone needs to step the fuck up and fight him. And if it is someone who's not necessarily a fighter, then okay, fine. That's even better. Especially when you're talking about a guy who's more likely fighting hurt. Doesn't have to be your toughest guy, but somebody's got to answer the bell. And I'm right there with you on Gudas.
This is happening tonight, of course. Yeah. It has to. Yeah. It has to. And it will.
It has to happen, and that's commendable on Gudas to play through an injury, knowing that you have to answer the bell and, like I said, honor the code. That just once again talk about when you're on a team coached by a Hall of Famer, a Quenneville guy. Quenneville's a guy who's definitely going to honor that. He's not gonna shy away. Some other coaches might bury their guy. Oh, he's hurt. He's not gonna. This is a non-issue. There's nothing to see here, and we're gonna scratch him tonight. That's what a younger coach would probably.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it on RotoWire right now.
A coach like Quenneville who understands that, and remember, this is Gudas. This is the guy who's wearing a C on his own jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yep, that's a good point. And
No,
like I said,
yeah. Sorry, I keep cutting out.
no, it was a little lag. It was a little lag for a minute. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah, like I said, he's going to play. I mean, I'm seeing it right now on RotoWire. Expects to play tonight. He's declared himself good to go after participating in Monday's morning skate, so he'll be in the lineup. I like what they say in the little diatribe there on RotoWire about Gudas, saying the 35-year-old Gudas will probably be a good source of PIMs on Monday. Yeah, minimum of 5, most likely. After what goes on tonight for sure. So they aren't telling any fables or lies there when they say that. So that's probably the most intriguing part. Although for Anaheim, they're trying to win a division. And they lost, of course, to Edmonton 4-2 on Saturday. So they'll be looking to bounce back. Obviously, I think they're going to win this game and bounce the Leafs. The Leafs have played awful against St. Louis. Maybe they step up their effort, but it's like Russian roulette with this Leafs team. You never know when that effort's going to be there and when it's not going to be there. It might be tonight, though. So that's the one scary thing about betting Anaheim. Like, if there's one game the Leafs might care about, it could be this game to start this California road trip against the team with the player that put their captain out. So from that standpoint, maybe the Leafs give you a little something tonight. But I'm really not interested in betting Anaheim at this price, but obviously I'm not going to bet Toronto either. We'll see. I mean, I could lean Anaheim team total over, and I like Anaheim, whether it's shots on goal or saves over for whoever the goaltender is going to be tonight for the Leafs. It's probably going to be Joe Woll. We'll see. No, it could be Stolarz. It is going to be, I think, Stolarz, because it looks like Berube might do the back and forth thing again. So it could be. And Anthony Stolarz is a former Anaheim Duck. So now that I think of it, Anthony Stolarz probably is going to start tonight for Toronto. And it is Ville Husso getting the nod here for the Anaheim Ducks here tonight, which makes sense, right? If you're going to give Husso a start here and give Dostal an opportunity to rest a little bit, this could be a good time to do that. Plus, I believe the Leafs beat Anaheim in Toronto with Dostal in net. So, throwing a little something different at Toronto here is Joel Quenneville going with Ville Husso. But yeah, for me, it's just going to be a lean to the Ducks team total over, but more so I like the Duck shots on goal props and the saves prop over for Stolarz, because it's the same old for the Leafs for the most part. They're just going to get beaten like a drum on the shots on goal clock. It happens night in and night out for them right now. Alex, what do you think here? Leafs Ducks.
Only thing I'm betting here is Maple Leafs first goal of first period plus 155. It wouldn't shock me one bit. We see this fight get out of the way early. Leafs will maybe win that fight, and then they use that momentum to get on the board. That's the only thing that I can trust here pregame in this spot. And then everything else would be, in game. Like I said, Ducks team total. I do like that, but I feel like I certainly get a better price for that waiting in game. Is laying 138, 140 right now with 3.5, and maybe even get, like I said, a little piece of them in regulation or something if they are down 1-0 as a result of that goal. So Leafs first goal, first period. And like I said, I think that could be riding off that momentum of this potential fight we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. What I will do too, because I have a sneaky feeling Toronto could get the first goal tonight. I'm not going to bet it, but I just have a sneaky feeling they could. So from that standpoint, I'm going to probably look to bet Anaheim live at plus money if they're trailing. That's going to be the goal for me, rather than minus 190. No, thank you. But if they fall behind, and be able to get a plus price, I'm interested in it. As far as goal props, this is not going to continue, but he has scored in a couple games in a row for the Leafs on the blue line. Jake McCabe, 14-1. I'm gonna bet it for something small. I mean, don't go crazy on it. This is Jake McCabe after all, but he has scored in back-to-back games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'll take a small shot with that here in this one. What else am I looking at here for goal props? Granlund, I'm going to go back to the well. He finally did not score against Edmonton on Saturday, but he's been very good for them of late. So Michael Granlund here for the Anaheim Ducks as far as goal prop. I think that's about it. Like I said, I'm going light here on this game. The only one I'd maybe throw out there for Toronto here is that Easton Cowan is on the top line with Tavares and Nylander. There's still some pretty decent value there with him up there on that group. Both the McCabe goals are also the Leafs' first goal. There you go. So if you really want to hit the lottery or try to, you can bet Jake McCabe first goal or first Leafs goal. Although the anytime goal is 14-1, pretty good price all by itself. But that first goal and first Leafs goal with McCabe, since it's happened for them 2 in a row, That could really pay out nicely if it hits again. All right, last game for this Monday slate. St. Louis, San Jose, -110, even money, both sides. 6 the total here in this game. San Jose really reeling, but found a way to get a very, very nice win in Columbus, 3-2 against the Blue Jackets to stop the 6-game losing streak. We'll see if they can build on that. I mean, for them, I still think it's over for them. They've fallen too far behind, in my mind, to make the playoffs at this point. But it was still an admirable performance and a solid victory for the San Jose Sharks in Columbus on Saturday. But, like I said, I guess because Nashville's been scuffling along, they're not completely out of it. They are only 4 points back, but the fact that Winnipeg, Seattle, LA, they are all in between where San Jose is from Nashville. I mean, it's still, you got to leapfrog 3 teams, and you still have to catch Nashville. So it's, the odds are still pretty stacked against the Sharks, but obviously that was a significant win for them. I mean, I could only look at St. Louis in this spot. They're playing really, really good hockey. Their defense, where's this New Jersey Devils 90s defensive effort come from all of a sudden for the Blues? Like, they're shutting teams the fuck down right now. It's just every game. I mean, you look at this St. Louis run, and obviously 7-3 in their last 10, but just in the last 5 games alone, they've given up 2 goals or less. 5 straight games. Go back even further. They've given up 2 goals or less 8 of their last 10, 7 of their last 8. So they have become this defensive monster all of a sudden. Not giving up anything, outshooting the team, outplaying the team constantly, and getting great goaltending, especially from Joel Hofer, although Jordan Binnington played pretty well Saturday night in the victory against Toronto. 10-1-2 overall the last 13 games here. For the St. Louis Blues. And they get San Jose coming off this little 3-game roadie as well against Nashville, St. Louis, and Columbus. They lost in St. Louis 2-1 in overtime, so it's revenge, but the Blues have really played the Sharks well. 4 of the last 5 they've won, 6-4 in the last 10 meetings for the Blues as well. They've beaten them already twice in the last a month. They actually played March 6th in San Jose. Blues won in overtime 3-2. They played March 26th just a few days ago in St. Louis. Blues won 2-1 in overtime. So I am probably going to look at the Blues here, -110. But that's not all. This is the number 1 draw of the night. Has to be the number 1 draw of the night. In fact, I'm going to step things up here. Penguins Islanders and Blues Sharks, which are by far, it's not even close, my 2 favorite draws on the board tonight. I'm going to parlay them together. I'm going to parlay those 2, and let's see if we can really hit a bang there. Penguins, Islanders, draw. Blues, Sharks, draw. Parlay. And let's see if we can hit a bang and both of them hit. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. And this is a great draw. Not a good, great draw this is. 5 of the last 6 meetings have gone past regulation. Blues have gone past regulation in 4 of their last 9 games. The Sharks, not so much, but the Sharks have had some 1-goal games in there. The Blues game went to overtime a few days ago. The Columbus game was a 1-goal game over the weekend. Yeah, it's a great draw look, no question. Alex, St. Louis, San Jose.
The crabs in a barrel when you talk about draw season. 2 teams hanging on for dear life, playing one another, needing every point possible. Like I said, you have that draw history there. That is my favorite play of the entire day, honestly. And you can get that plus 313 over at Bet Online was a price that I was able to grab earlier. As far as, side and total, I'm not touching it. Like I said, these are 2 teams that they still believe they're in the race. They still mathematically are, but they still have some flaws. And like I said, St. Louis is playing the better hockey of the 2. I do have a bargain bin from this game that I like, but my favorite play here is draw.
There we go. All right, we've got goalies already for this game confirmed. We've got Ask About Me, Yaroslav Askarov for San Jose, and Joel Hofer for St. Louis. Those 2 have been both confirmed in net for their respective teams. Yeah, as far as goal props, now I actually lean under in this game because, again, St. Louis just been an under machine. They've been shutting things down. But there are some props that I'm interested in. Pius Suter kind of stepped things up. Snuggerud, Robert Thomas, Holloway. Dylan Holloway scored in back-to-back games. Can't argue with any of those choices for goal props for the St. Louis Blues. And then for San Jose, give me Colin Graf. Give me Chernyshov. Chernyshov starting to percolate here for San Jose all of a sudden. He's playing with Celebrini and with Will Smith on the top line and starting to make it happen. He scored in the last game against Columbus. A big goal it was, too, against the Jackets. So we were waiting on Igor Chernyshov here, playing with two of the best players on the team, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, to kind of get things going, and he's showing signs of that. So those are the props I'm targeting there for St. Louis, San Jose. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. WizardSportsPicks.com. Check out the website. Daily premium picks. Long-term subscriptions is available as well. MLB now underway. NBA, NHL still going on a daily basis. Number one on the site in NHL and college basketball. So make sure you check it out. WizardSportsPicks.com. And, of course, Patreon.com/IceGuys. $10 per month. Get on board in the next couple of days, because we've got ourselves a live betcast this week. We'll announce it on the day of, but we have a Patreon exclusive live betcast coming your way this week, later this week. So make sure you get on board before it so that you can join us for the live betcast later this week. Looking forward to that. Of course, you'll get access to all the great perks that you get by being a Patreon member. Goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content, daily betting card, sides totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Not available much longer, but the $50 off discount for the Dub Club All Sports subscription with me, only available to Patreon Ice Guys members, is still available. So check that out. All that and more. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Get on board now, just $10 per month. Patreon.com/IceGuys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. So you may have missed the weekend special. You had a sale, 20% off. Now we've got 4 days of 30% off starting today. Definitely don't want to miss this. This is a great deal, great offer. 30% off. Hit the redeem button at the homepage, add your items to your cart, and the 30% will be taken off at checkout. So this is a great time right now. It's springtime. New month coming, playoffs are on the way. This is a great time to support the podcast and get yourself some Ice Guys merch right now and save some money as well. 30% off next 4 days. iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, bargain bin special of the night. We did add another to the win column yesterday. Pavel Zacha, Boston, plus 330. See if we can add to it here on Monday night. Alex, bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, let's head to that game we just talked about in the Bay Area. St. Louis taking on San Jose, and a guy who's in that top six for the Sharks. And you have to kind of shop around to find the prices in the bargain bin, but there are a few places available. Plus 310, best price available at DraftKings. There's also plus 300 at Caesars and BetOnline. It's Kiefer Sherwood. Anytime goal for the San Jose Sharks. He's a guy that I feel like could chip in tonight. So Kiefer Sherwood, anytime goal, best price available, plus 310 at DraftKings. That is my bargain bin special for this Monday night.
All right, great stuff. And I have just one tonight. That's a rarity, only going with one bargain bin special, but just one, and it's going to be EK for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Erik Karlsson. He's been great. I mean, offensively, yes. I mean, defensively, that's another story. But offensively, you cannot complain about what you have seen from Erik Karlsson. Jumping into the play, getting involved in the offense, shooting the puck a lot. He's now scored in back-to-back games for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he's been scoring in bunches a lot more of late. 3 of the last 5 games, he's found the back of the net. 5 of the last 10 games, he's found the back of the net. We'll see if he can make it a third straight game. Finding the back of the net tonight. Erik Karlsson, Pittsburgh, plus 520 for my bargain bin special of the night here for this Monday slate. All right, best bets Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, right back to that late game. Blues and Sharks. You said 5 of the last 6 meetings gone past regulation. 4 of the last 9 for the Blues have gone past regulation. So it's a good late night edible game. Give me the draw with St. Louis and San Jose.
There you go. St. Louis, San Jose draw. It's a great draw bet. I like it too. And Alex going with that for best bet. My best bet, we're going to keep on rolling with it. 11-1 to the over for the Pittsburgh Penguins in their last 12 games. We've got 8-2 to the over in the last 10 meetings with the Penguins and the Islanders. So put it all together. Give me Penguins, Islanders, over 6, -120. Pittsburgh, New York Islanders, over 6, -120 for my best bet here for this Monday. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. Looking forward to this great Monday slate. And again, back at it tomorrow. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.